I'm Tom Klunzinger, local thief. I've had most of you sign in here. Thank you for coming to the annual meeting of the Association Dedicated Byzantine Collectors. As we keep pointing out, those words were set up to satisfy the original parameters years ago of something that had to incorporate AD and BC, Association of Dedicated Byzantine Collectors. So we have to refresh people on the history since that occurred in the previous millennium. So without further ado, the Empress.
Hi, good morning.
Prue.
Thank you for coming.
Many years.
Thank you. Tribute is accepted by me at any time. I actually prefer silver to gold, but I will accept gold if you'd like to give it to me. We start out our meetings introducing ourselves and speaking about our collecting interests if you choose to do so. If you'd like to be private about it, that's all right. We won't send you out of the room. So I will start with mine. My chief interest has been Byzantine empresses over the years, although I've written a lot on the general history of the Byzantine Empire. And 2.5 years ago, I published a primer on Byzantine coinage because there's nothing for the person who's just starting to collect. If you know what you're doing, there's a lot of material, very, very finite, very minute, and very valuable. But if you don't know what the obverse of a coin is, it can be a little overwhelming. So that took up a portion of my time. I'm also interested in other areas of history, particularly the Salem witchcraft delusion, which is my other passion. And kind of, they don't fit together, but they're both very interesting to me. So, Bob, you will be talking about your interests as you go in
Right,
the lecture. So, Tom, do you want to, you've already introduced
Yes,
yourself.
well, as I said, I'm logothete. I got into this, well, 15, 16, 17 years ago. I was actually writing a musical, which with the title of Phallus, which is the plural of Phallis. Phallis is the plural. Thinking it would relate to Phallis. And then from that I thought, well, what are those coins? And so I've gone on and exhibited and continued with this. You're up.
Jim Murphy, collect either very early Byzantine or very late, post-Latin Empire.
Sydney.
Please stand up.
Sydney. I have a very small collection of Roman coins and actually a couple of Greek ones, but I'm interested in Byzantine coinage. I know it has a very long history, and a lot of stuff changed over the years with regards to who appeared on the coins and the symbolize what things symbolized. So I'm very interested in Byzantine coins.
I'm with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, my name is John. I'm not a coin collector. I'm here as the son and supporter of my dad who's speaking today. And the closest I come to collecting is just being a musician and interested in music. And my favorite bands, I'll become a completist and I'll look up all the B-sides and things like that. So, but anyway.
Thank you. Ma'am?
My name is Terry. I'm not a collector. I'm the spouse of a serious collector, and Bob knows me very well. I came here to mostly listen to Bob. However, I am the secretary of the Elongated Collectors.
All right.
Totally different kind of collection.
Yeah. Mark?
I'm Mike Markowitz. I write a column on ancient and medieval coins for Coin Week, coinweek.com. You can find all my articles also archived on academia.edu. I work with the Ancient Numismatic Society of Washington, D.C. We have about 20 active members, of whom I think 6 at last count are published authors. I collect Byzantine and Byzantine-related gold primarily, and I have a particular interest in the fractional denominations.
Well, I'm a retired professor of English at the University of Colorado, but my wife is the Byzantine
Okay, we'll
scholar
sit down.
and collector, so she'll floor.
I had a goal of collecting.
The cameraman asks that you stand.
Oh, okay.
I had a goal of collecting 100 Follies and 100 Solidari, and so I'm still, working on that project.
Thank you.
My name is Peter, and I guess I started as a kid being interested in U.S. coins, and I still have a small collection of that, and spent a lot of time overseas, and mostly in the Netherlands, and got interested a little bit in their history, and then started getting very interested in some of the Islamic coins from Spain, who conquered the Netherlands or owned the Netherlands at a certain point. And I guess I'm a member of the Oriental Numismatic Society, but my main objective in collecting was just to put away a little bit of gold in case it was worth a little more. Yeah, I'm also interested in some of the European coins.
Thank you.
My name is Eleanor Miners, and I'm the wife of Dr. Miners, who's been a member here for many years. We're from Bethesda, Maryland. And I have a master's degree from NYU in medieval French, which was wonderful. It was in 1961. Can you imagine? Yeah.
Thank you.
Howard is my name. I have an interest in medieval and Renaissance coinage, and I'm happy to say that I believe I've catalyzed some funding for the ANS for an endowment for this kind of thing. We can always use more. My main interest is in the origin of the thaler, 1486 to 1520 or so, and also Carolingian coins, which are getting hard to find.
Thank you.
My name is Colin Pitchfork. I actually live in Sydney, Australia. I've been past president of the Australian Numismatic Society from the 60s right through to a few years ago. I started collecting over 70 years ago, and I'm a very Catholic collector. In other words, I collect everything, or did at those times. I'm trying to narrow it down a bit. Some of you may have seen some of my coins being sold through C&G in e-sales and mail bid sales, and they've been doing that for the last 8 or 9 years, sometimes with my name in it, sometimes without. Byzantine coins is one of the areas I collected. I remember buying back in the early 1960s from Glendinning's, a big company in London that auctioned coins, and at that time I had a very important job in Australia, and I had sort of lots of money to spend. These days a little less, much less. But in those days you could put in bids without having to worry about what the estimate was. And I used to blanketly bid things, £200 and lots, and bingo, who got lots. Big bulk lots of Byzantine, big bulk lots of Eastern European stuff, well, not so Eastern Europe, Eastern Asian stuff, Islamic coins, Parthian coins. In fact, I got such a good collection of Parthian coins, David Selwood corresponded with me in the 60s, and he actually names me in his first volume and second volume in 1970 on Parthian coins, because we did a lot of exchange of ideas. I have about 5,000 Byzantine and 30,000 Roman and Greek coins, so it's not a small collection. But I've collected other things too, and if you're listening around and you want to come at 1 o'clock and listen to me talk about holy dollars and dumps, which is Australia's first coinage, I'll be doing exactly the same thing here that Robert is going to be talking to us about in an hour or two's time, and I'd love to see you. They're an interesting series, and I used to have quite a number of these coins, and so they're fascinating. But I'm glad to be here. I've been several times to your meetings, and I certainly enjoy coming to New York. This is probably my 30th trip. I made the trip across the world, come here every year. For the December used to be, and then it's January, these New York International Coins Conventions. And it's been a great joy to come here with my wife. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Colin.
My name's Alan, and I just come from the state next door here to New Jersey. But I started out way back when with Whitman blue folders that open up, pushing the Lincoln pennies in. Moved on to U.S. typeset, and along the way got interested in the numismatic zoo, which I have about 800 species, I call them, of animals on coins of all different countries and different metals. And I tried to do mostly proof and brilliant uncirculateds, which brings me to the interest. Well, with that I got into ancients and some medieval and doing like a century type of collection. And when they came across the Byzantines, the bronzes, they were a godsend, because a lot of my proofs have tarnished, you know, and blemished, and with the coppers you don't have to worry about any of that. As long as you can read Byzantine bronze, you're a happy duck. You know? It's a good thing. And then I've gone on from there to collect gold and silver of all the dynasties of the Byzantine Empire per se. So I might say I collect a little bit of everything, I guess.
Thank you.
My name's Arthur. I am a collector of British, English gold and silver. Well, I guess we can write the gold off. But Anglo-Saxon, medieval, but my primary duty is holding the train of the Empress.
That was very well, thank you. Did you have a treasure report, or?
Oh, I had prepared that, but we'll send it out. I would like to say thank you all for participating. And now, I won't explain the origins, but we have after this the largesse lunch for current members, which will be out the door and around the corner at Delmonico's. So if you're coming with us, I'll tell you exactly where it is. It's 42nd Lexington, right there. But that's for current members, and others are welcome to participate too.